Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Right now, as you know, America is locked in a trade war with everybody else. Right now though, the conversations are actually starting to change. Which countries are actually starting to align themselves with America and actually accepting a trade deal? Which ones are not doing so? That's the conversation right now. And that's what we're about to react to right now. So if you enjoyed the video, you can drop a like. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. Let's get right into it.
We saw a little bit of a bounce back today. Stock futures are up. It's kind of unclear what's going to happen, but trust has been lost, and that's really what worries me. I think that investors may, say, okay, things could get finessed in the next couple of weeks, but what about 3 months from now? What about 6 months from now? What I hear from investors across the board is folks going to short-term assets, folks going to safety havens. There's also, I think, pain in the markets that we haven't seen yet. And
that is so true, right? Because people are going to be like, oh, no, look at it. It's actually balanced itself out now. It's like, near, but the trust is gone. Like, you do that to so many people. It's like, okay, what's going to happen next? Okay, if these countries that you want to make a deal with, what if they don't agree with you? What if everyone else is like, all right, we'll just put tariffs on you then? What's actually next? What, you increase the tariff again and make it worse? It's like, okay, why would I invest my money when I know from any point now, if you disagree with any other country does, you just increase the tariff, which will make it worse for me? Where's the trust in it? Why would they ever trust the process again? They would never ever do that again. They would never do that anymore. They would just believe for anything that you want, you're ready to just make everybody else suffer. And they can't obviously rely on that. It's way too volatile.
let me point out something that is undercovered, which is that people were selling off gold and they were selling off treasuries. They don't generally sell things like that in a panic. That means that they're trying to cover losses and stem blood flow from other problems that we don't see yet in the market. We are at the very early days of this. And so to take it lightly, to say, oh, everybody's going to come in line and things are going to be fine, very, very naive. Not to mention what China is going to do, which we can get to.
Yeah, John,
Exactly. That's the problem right there. Right now, China are also trying to retaliate. So it's like, okay, what if they retaliate and you don't like it? Are you just going to increase the tariff? Okay, if you do that the second time and they do it the second time as well, why would I ever want to get into a tussle like that? No, I would never want to risk my money. So everyone's just like, okay, we don't trust your decisions for now. And that's the thing that's broken right now. You just can't get that back, regardless, even if the market starts to stabilize itself.
what do you say to that?
So I think that what we're seeing is countries from all around the globe, except for China, saying, we want to make a deal. We do not want these tariffs. What Trump is saying, and he's learned his lesson from the first time he was in office, where China made a lot of promises and didn't follow through on them. There was also a lot of behind-the-scenes deals that they tried to do with Europe, and Europe basically said, yes, we will do whatever you want, and then never did anything. So what I think the message right there to Israel was, you need to actually do it. We're not going to...
But what gives you the certainty that they will do it this time? Like, what? Just trying to bully them? What makes you think they will just do it this time? That's the thing.
Reduce your tariff based on your promise. We're going to do it when we see the trade surplus that you run against us, the United States trade deficit, come down, then your tariffs will come down.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people disagree that trade deficits are inherently bad.
That's what these people don't understand. Trade deficits are not a bad thing. The most developed countries in the world typically have trade deficits. It's because your economy is based on service industry. That's why. So everything else, manufacturing and agriculture, because your whole economy is relied on service economy, you obviously can't get that anymore. Your labor force isn't geared towards producing all these things. So obviously you just rely on other countries to do that. That's what it literally is. That's literally it. It's like now someone being rich and saying, oh, well, I pay a lot of taxes. I pay a lot of money. I pay a lot of people. I pay a lot of wages, right? It's really unfair that I'm spending so much money and yet other people are not spending half of as much I'm spending. It's like, yeah, of course you're spending so much more. You're rich because you have that much more money. That's why you're spending that much more money. It makes no sense to say trade deficit, therefore we're being ripped off. No, you're not being ripped off. Absolutely not. Anyone that understands what they're talking about would never say that. It's so comical to ever come to that conclusion.
It's kind of like not great economics to assume that's
really
the case,
bad.
but that's neither here nor there, I
a
guess.
couple of things. First of all, what we saw there with Netanyahu is classic Trump quid pro quo, the transactional president. He immediately conflated the tariff issue with the $4 billion in aid that the US gives. And we've seen that again and again and again with Europe. We've seen it across the globe. What are you going to do for me?
Yeah.
That's always the answer. Never mind long-standing, Canada relations, whatever. So that's the first thing. It's a transactional quid pro quo arrangement. But Peter Navarro, and it's not often I'd ever agree with Peter Navarro, but he summed it up. You can take your tariff offer right down to zero, and it won't make a darn
As
bit of-
several countries have.
and it won't make any difference because
Israel.
the real issue is non-tariff barriers. If you go down to zero on your nominal, the US exports still can't get it.
Exactly. That's such an amazing point. Regardless if we take down the tariffs, the things that he wants other countries to buy from America, they still won't buy it because it doesn't hit the threshold that's needed for the security of the country. Simple. They don't buy your cars because your cars are not as well made and robust as cars from Germany. That's why tariffs have nothing to do with that. That's the problem. Okay, who cares if they reduce the tariffs? They still won't buy your stuff.
And the uncertainty means people still won't be investing over here.
But when you start to talk about non-tariff barriers, you get into the bigger topic of the way the whole global trading system works. And this
Exactly.
is my real problem with what's happening right now. I think we had a golden opportunity. I think Trump had a golden opportunity to come out and say, we're going to build on what I did in my first administration. We are going to really rejigger things. China has come into the system. It's run in a completely different way than the countries, European and American, the countries that built the global trading system. We need to change this. Instead, he's thrown the entire chessboard up. You can't do it alone. There's horse trading going on, not just between the US and other countries, but China and Europe and all the other countries around the world that are thinking, we can't trust this guy. That's not a way to get to a new system.
The other thing that
That would just force other countries to just work together. That's all that's going to happen. You push everyone to the corner, they will just be like, all right, we just work together to make the best ends meet. That's all that's going to happen. Like, it's not like everyone's just trading with America and then no one trades with anyone else. It's like, okay, if you can't do it for us, we just find other options. We're not going to die.
that's happening is that, some of the people in Trump's corner, the billionaires who they make money for a living, they are starting to freak out. And principal among them is Bill Ackman. I actually want to play Bill Ackman from a couple months ago, back in December, when he was singing a very, very different tune. Listen to this.
We're stepping into, I would say, the most pro-growth, pro-business, pro-American administration I've perhaps seen in my adult lifetime. President Trump will do nothing that interferes with the success of the country, the success of the economy. I think he's been very thoughtful about tariffs.
You do?
I think it's a very powerful tool that can be.
You know what? This is the perfect example of Trump saying wild things, making wild statements, but people will be like, oh, it's just Trump. That's what it does. He's never actually gonna do these things. This is the perfect example right here. He's using that rhetoric again. Oh no, it's fine. He says tariffs and all this stuff, but he's not actually gonna go overboard with it. Well, for the first time in his life, he's actually done something, and he's gone overboard with it.
Be used to level the playing field.
Okay, so now here we are today. He says, on April 9th, if we launch an economic nuclear war on every country in the world, business investment will grind to a halt, consumers will close their wallets and their pocketbooks, and we will severely damage our reputation with the rest of the world. It will take years to potentially rehabilitate it. He talks about, as Rana was saying, business is a confidence game, and that confidence has been shattered. These are people who know what they're talking about, and they like Donald Trump. They just think that this is a catastrophic mistake.
Yeah, I like Bill Ackman, by the way, and think he's an important voice. But he's not the only voice. And, the president's getting a lot of advice from a lot of different people. But I tend to just listen to the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who was on television late this afternoon talking about...
Yeah, but he also said, right, if I remember right, he also said, like, at this rate, inflation is going to be high, unemployment is going to go up, and this is not good for economy, right? I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
Now there's 70-plus countries that are calling up, wanting to discuss how we're going to deal with them in the future. And what I really hope that they wind up doing with those 70-plus countries, and it'll probably be more by tomorrow, is this. Like, listen, you need to understand, we're trying to do something different here. We think we've been taken advantage of, and we're responding to the working class of this country. If you will help us, if you will understand that we can have a fairer system here that's fair to the United States, we can align ourselves against the true enemy, which is China. And if you want to get in bed with China and think they're a trust...
If that's fine, that, you know what, that's actually fine. That's totally cool, right? You want to be the top dog when it comes to like the global trade, right? You don't want China's growing economy to supersede America's economy. That's fine. You can just be like, all right, everyone else in Europe, let's all get together and make sure China can't actually get above us. That's fine. But you're not just doing it on China. That's the problem, right? What he just said, that's totally cool. We can understand that. China and America, they're kind of enemies. It's understandable. But what about every other country? It makes no sense.
Trustworthy partner, that is a complete, ridiculous, stupid, terrible idea. Stick with us, be fair to us, and stick with us, and we'll align ourselves against China because they cannot be trusted.
Why should anybody want to go down that road when the US has just kicked them in the groin, damaged their own domestic economies in their various countries, and did all this without serious warning? The reason all these billionaires have gone against the administration is because of the extreme nature. None of them expected this massive tariff.
And these are not reciprocal in any way. These tariffs are, frankly, indiscriminate, based on a formula that nobody understands and doesn't
Just to
make any
answer
economic
Richard,
sense.
Yeah.
there was warning. It was called Donald Trump talking out loud for the last 40
He
years
never-
and in his campaign.
But
That's
Scott,
number one.
But Scott,
But it's based on a stupid idea, though.
Number two.
but Scott, he never said that he was going to slap 46% tariffs on these countries. He actually campaigned, let me give this part to you. He campaigned on tariffs, yes, but he campaigned on across the board 20% tariffs, which Wall Street at the time thought was kind of extreme, but maybe he won't do it. He didn't campaign on a formula that, I don't know, some intern at the National Economic Council made up. And then they said because he's being generous, they're just going to randomly divide it in
It's an
half.
interesting point, though.
And then make that a number.
It's an interesting point what you're saying about we should have taken him at his word. Maybe we should have taken him at his word. I mean, I have long thought that these billionaires were being pretty darn naive, thinking that all they were going to get was tax cuts and deregulation,
You
and
heard
maybe
Bill
a little
Ackman there. Yeah.
tweak here and there. And, you know, Donald Trump is an unpredictable guy. You know, we
Very
did not know how
unpredictable.
this was going to go.
Very
There was a
unpredictable.
good chance it was going to go badly. And probably if you'd been listening to him for 40 years, you would have surmised.
Absolutely, extremely unpredictable. And now the worst part is they're trying to be like, oh, Europe, everyone, just be on our side so we can go against China. It's like, okay, but you've just done this to us, though. Down the line, if you don't feel like we're doing something else that you want, what's to say you're just gonna increase the tariff again? What's to say you're not gonna like make any economic policy that's just gonna put us into another crisis again? What's actually gonna guarantee us that you're actually gonna be on our side this time? Where's the confidence? Where's the belief? They don't trust you anymore. Like, that's the problem. Right now, it feels like they've actually taken a step too far, and now they're trying to retract from that. And it's like, okay, listen, guys, everyone be on our side, then you'll be fine. If we go just be on our side and then we'll go up against China, it's like, yeah, but it makes no sense anymore. You've already done this to us. The trust is gone, the belief is gone, and to be honest, I think it's actually obvious now. They're starting to see where they've gone wrong. But that's just my opinion. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you have any difference in opinions, drop it down in the comments below. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe.